Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. So today's video is gonna be a collaboration between me and British reviewers. It is called The Sexiest Voices on Their Sexiest Fragrances, and before we get started I would like to explain to you the idea behind it. So basically I don't want to offend anyone, but in my personal opinion British accent is the sexiest. And to be honest with you, I find British people are very lucky because, you know, they don't even have to try. They just open their mouth, say something, and it's already sexy. And I do watch a lot of British reviewers, and since you really enjoyed my previous team collaboration, I decided to do another one, and I had this idea to invite some of my most favorite British reviewers, and I'm very glad that these guys agreed to be a part of it and just let them talk about their sexiest fragrances in their sexy accent. But of course I don't consider my accent to be sexy or even like in a sexy group. That's why I won't share with you any of my sexy fragrances, but in fact there is no need to do that because I've already done that like 1,000 times. So I'll just be the host of this video, and you'll find the links to these channels in the description box down below, so make sure to check it out. And with that being said, let's let the sexy voices describe their sexiest fragrances. That is what you can expect from this video.
You know, Jana, 12 months ago in Milan when you said, Chris, we should do a collaboration video together, I didn't think it would take this long. But anyway, here we are. Sometimes these things take time, but hey, thanks for asking me to be on your channel. Exciting. So you've asked me to talk about two sexy fragrances. I didn't know whether to talk about two fragrances that I own, that I wear, that I think are sexy, because sometimes that's my opinion and may not be other people's opinion. So then I thought what I would do is I would talk about a fragrance that I think is super sexy for females, and a fragrance that is, I think, and I have had some feedback, that I think this is sexy for males to wear as well. And these two fragrances are both from the same house. I thought, yes, why not? I would choose two fragrances from the same house. So let's get into the fragrance. Ladies first, I'm going to talk about a fragrance that I think is very, very sexy on women. Probably the sexiest fragrance I can remember smelling on a woman. I love this stuff. So the house I'm talking about with these two fragrances is Guerlain, and the fragrance that I love smelling on a woman is Montguerlain Intense EDP. This has some fruitiness in the opening, some florals in the heart, there's some rose, there's some jasmine, but it's not got so much rose and it's not so big on the florals that it is overly feminine, because I prefer fragrances that aren't typically very light and sparkly and bright and floral. The star of the show in Montguerlain Intense EDP is the vanilla. It has Tahitian vanilla. I don't know if it's natural or if it's a synthetic accord, but to me it certainly smells natural. It smells really high quality, and it's the warmth of this vanilla that really gives this fragrance just a lot of strength. There's also a licorice note in here which further adds some structure and backbone to the composition. So this is a female fragrance that isn't messing about. This makes me think of a woman who is strong, she's confident, she's very in touch with her femininity and her feminine charms. She's got a great sense of humour, she's a very strong person, she's a funny person, and those are things that I find incredibly sexy and sensual. So I would imagine that a lady who has those characteristics would be wearing a scent, because I think the composition of this just fits in really nicely with those characteristics. So it's feminine enough, but it's warm, it's smooth, it's creamy, it's full of confidence. This just whew. Okay, let's stop there. Let's talk about the male fragrance. I've chosen this one because even though I've had some good feedback on this, when I wear this, it makes me feel sexy. It empowers me to get in touch, I guess, with my sensuality. So this is L'Homme Ideal Eau de Parfum. The reason I like this fragrance is it has some characteristics that you would associate with mass appealing designer fragrances, but it has the quality and it has a bit of complexity there that makes it feel more like a niche fragrance. But sometimes the types of smells that they create and the prices that they offer their fragrances, they do align with designer, but technically it is niche. But this smells, for the price you pay for this fragrance, which I think was about £40, incredibly well put together, and it smells like there's some high quality ingredients. So the first thing that you get from this, in the heart of the L'Homme Ideal line, is almond and cherry, and you get a creamy almond and obviously the fruitiness coming from the cherry. There's a little bit of a boozy note in here. There's incense at the heart of this, which I think not only adds to the masculinity, but it adds to the mysteriousness of the fragrance and the sensuality of the fragrance, and perhaps is helping push that booziness. So it's mass appealing, it's masculine, it's empowering. It's a fragrance that I love to wear, and I get great performance off this one as well. And the other great thing about these two fragrances is there's some connections, there's some crossovers in terms of notes. So there is rose, there's a bit of rose in this, just like there is in this. There's also vanilla in this, and also with a lot of Guerlain fragrances you get what's referred to as the Guerlainade, which is a core DNA, a collection of accords or notes that Guerlain use, which is a signature accord to only Guerlain fragrances. It's kind of a mix of vanilla and some other notes, so it creates this accord which is smooth and sensual and creamy and full-bodied, incredibly satisfying to wear. Both these fragrances have tonka bean in the base, so you know what, when you put these together, when these two fragrances come together, so if you're with your partner, one of you's wearing this one, the other's wearing this, you've had a lovely evening together, maybe you've been to dinner, maybe you've been to the opera if you're that sophisticated. I don't go to the opera. And at the end of the lovely night, you both come together and your fragrances intertwine in one big ball of Guerlainade sexiness. Does it get better than that? So there we go. Those are my two sexy fragrances, Mon Guerlain Intense EDP for the ladies and L'Homme Ideal EDP for the guys. If you've not tried these, you must do, because the sexiness is off the charts on these. All right, so something a bit different, something hopefully useful and maybe a little bit fun as well. It's been a pleasure to be on your channel, Jana. Thank you very much.
Hello everyone, I'm Claire from the Smurfugurly channel, and thank you to Jana so much for having me on your channel. It is always an honour, and Jana has asked me to talk about two fragrances that I consider sexy. And Jana says she finds our British accents really sexy, so that's rather nice, isn't it? I'm not sure how many people will agree with that, but thank you Jana for saying it. So I've got two amazing fragrances for you. They are both oriental, and I will start with the first one, and that is Lune Feline from Atelier des Ors. This is the most beautiful, rich, sexy vanilla. It is absolutely stunning. It's got a woody type of vanilla, not a super sweet. It definitely feels expensive and natural, but it's more than that. It's resins and spices. It's very, very rich, and yet it's not too sweet. I wore this to the party at Essence last year and got a compliment from Jeremy Fragrance himself when he came and said hello and gave me a hug, and he really was quite taken aback by how this fragrance smelled. My next one is Bengal Rouge from Papillon Perfumery. There's the bottle, and this is here. This opens with honey, but the honey dissipates fairly quickly, which is fine with me. I'm not a major honey fan. What I love is what happens in the dry down. So this again is a rich oriental fragrance. There's sandalwood and resins, a little bit of rose and vanilla. It just gets super cozy, and it's almost like the fragrance caramelizes on your skin and it dries down to feel like hot chocolate, caramel, but without being super gourmand and too sweet. It's just this big hug of gooey gorgeousness. It's absolutely stunning. So that is Bengal Rouge by Papillon Perfumery. So thank you Jana so much for having me.
So thanks very much, Jana, to invite me to this video. I think it's a really fun idea. Talk about sexy fragrances. It's funny, I actually don't have that many, I don't think, in my collection. My collection's quite sort of dark and weird, but I have a few, and so here they are. So the first one, I didn't want to pick this one because it's been mentioned a lot on Jana's channel, and it's quite new for me. But it's Mandragola by Vicanto. This is a really nice, rich, opulent fragrance. It's very, very sexy. It's got this like narcotic pull that just kind of sucks you in. It's like the narcotic seducer, but it's not raw sex. It's very much like a kind of quiet, sort of narcotic, enrapturing sexiness. But it's really nice. But it's been mentioned a lot on Jana's channel, so I didn't really want to focus on that one. So the next one I thought about including was The Lover's Tale by Francesca Bianchi. But I don't own it right now, so I can't really use it as like my main fragrance to talk about. It starts with like this huge punch of like smoky castoreum, but it kind of gets all spicy and warm. But like I say, it's very intimate, very, very sexy, very carnal, and very raw fragrance. Really great. But like I say, those two, the first one, it's been on Jana's channel a lot. The second one, I don't have a bottle until after quarantine lifts, and then I'm going to buy it immediately. So that leads me to the fragrance that I actually want to talk about and introduce, and that's Nouveau Monde by Louis Vuitton. Now this is very different to the other two. Like I say, Vicanto, it has this sort of seductive pull, this narcotic, enrapturing warmth that kind of sucks you in. The second one, the Francesca Bianchi, is very rawly sexual, very passionate, very carnal fragrance. Whereas the sexiness of Nouveau Monde, I think, is a little bit different. This is more well-mannered. It's actually quite well-behaved for like a sexy fragrance. But it has, basically, this is like a smooth, sort of suede-y leather. There's an oud in there that just gives it a touch of animalic funk. But it's very well-behaved. And then there's cacao and this kind of caramelized sort of sweetness below that. There's a hint of a rose. It's very, very well-mannered seduction. If this was clothing, this would be like your well-fitted suit or your little black dress. This is that kind of sexy. It's presentable, well-mannered, but still undoubtedly absolute sexiness. So that's the one that I wanted to include, was Nouveau Monde. I say it's a beautiful fragrance. If you like rose and ouds, it's a very well tamed, very well mannered like rose and oud with a nice kind of chocolate, cacao, sort of caramelized base and just a hint of like some floral rose in there. Really, really good, really, really nice. Yeah, so that's my pick. Cheers.
Hi everybody, and hello especially to Jana. Thank you so much for inviting me to talk about the two most sexy fragrances I have in my collection, in my opinion. It will come as no surprise to anyone that the two fragrances I have chosen as sexy fragrances both contain a dominant note of rose, my favourite note. So this first choice is Tobacco Rose by Papillon Artisan Perfumes. It is an artisan niche fragrance house located here in the UK. I find Tobacco Rose to be a very seductive fragrance. Now for me, Tobacco Rose tells the story of a large, deep, dark, beautiful red rose, still planted in the ground, still rooted and untouched. It's shrouded in oak moss, ash and earth. This beautiful red rose entices you with its scent, drawing you in with extra sweetness from honey and also an addictive saltiness from ambergris. I find the scent of this rose to be raw but rich, enticing and bewitching. The appeal for me from Tobacco Rose is knowing that this perfectly red rose is just out of grasp, being shielded behind this earthy and mossy and slightly dirty tobacco nuance. So that is Tobacco Rose. My second choice and secret weapon of seduction is Oud Satin Mood by Maison Francis Kurkdjian. This deep, dark, mysterious and somewhat gothic fragrance is supported by two beautiful notes of rose. It contains both Turkish and Bulgarian rose. The rose is lathered in sweet, creamy vanilla and cushioned with a beautiful powdery violet. It lays on a bed of a rich and edgy oud and twinkles slightly with a touch of benzoin. Now, Oud Satin Mood for me is a dark blue rose. Its scent is potent and alluring, dark and deep like the night. It has this seductive veil of sweetness I love the powdery violet content, cushioning this most heavenly rose scent. And although the rose appears to be sweet and cushioned and velvety, it is in fact dark and a bit dangerous from that rich oud. Very potent, it's very deep, it's very dark, and it's very perfect. So there you have it. These are my two most sexy fragrances in my collection. Thanks so much for watching. And again, thank you so much, Jana, for inviting me to take part in this collaboration. I really enjoyed it. Take care. Over and out.
Hello Jana, thanks very much for putting me in the video. Two fragrances which I consider really sexy. I'm talking about men's fragrances which appear to be thought sexy by other people around me. That's what I'm going for here, rather than female fragrances that I find sexy. Okay, so number one, we're going with Colonia Essenza from Acqua di Parma. Now, this might be an odd choice because it's just a really nice, fresh, neroli citrus fragrance with a little bit of depth, some herbaceous notes, a classic cologne, but maybe sort of modernized for the 21st century. It has really good performance, it's really, really fresh and clean, and it's got this little bit of special character about it. It's my favorite Colonia from Acqua di Parma, and I've got quite a few comments on this one over the years from people saying that it smells really good. And I think there is something about this that is really appealing if people are after sexiness in a kind of fresh, clean kind of way. So Essenza from Acqua di Parma, totally a classic, and I think it does seem to be thought to be sexy by other people. Another great choice, and a little bit more expensive than that one, is Creed's Spice and Wood. Claire from the Smurfugurly channel tells me this is a real sexy one for a man to wear. So it is spicy, it's woody, it's got a little bit of bergamot, apple, a bit of a cinnamon undertone, and quite a bit of vetiver. It's a little bit more of a nighttime scent maybe than Essenza, for autumn, for summer, for spring, all year round, signature scent worthy, rather expensive, very high class, very good fragrance, nice performance, and actually a nice choice compared to the more obvious Aventus from Creed. Definitely I've got good reactions on this one. I think it's rather a sexy fragrance. That's all, thanks very much guys.
And that completes this one, which I sincerely hope you enjoyed watching, because I had fun filming it. And if you did, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and of course subscribe to my channel if you're new here. And if you like these team collaborations, let me know what you want to see in the future. Maybe you have some ideas, I would love to hear them. And thank you so much for watching this one. Make sure to stay tuned, smell good, have a nice day, and we'll see each other in the next one really soon. Bye guys!